In 2023, I walked away from a 23-year career at the age of 50. I moved to Thailand. For 23 years, I worked behind a desk. It was safe. I got a decent salary. Then in 2020, COVID-19 happened. It locked everybody down. And I just had a major realization that we only live once, and that living behind a desk 9 to 5, waiting for retirement, waiting for healthcare benefits, those days might not ever come. There's no guarantee that I was going to live to be 65. I could have retired earlier because I worked for the government, but that's another story. But everyone still worked for the government because they needed to get Medicare. So you have to work essentially till 65. There's no guarantee that you're going to make it that long. And after seeing so many people retire and die, literally die like 3 months later, they would die 3 months later, retire, celebrate, die. It's like, what is life for? Is life for sitting behind a desk? I mean, I was working for the government. For years, I was working for a local government agency. I justified much of my work as helping people. But as time went on, I realized I wasn't really helping people, because just the bureaucracy and all of that, I don't know, my time could have been spent better. I should have spent my time better. And at some point during COVID, probably late 2020, I decided that I was going to try to do better. And so during COVID, the city of Chicago was shut down for 2 years, almost over 2 years. Schools were closed. They wanted vaccine IDs to get into bars. Everyone was wearing a mask. It felt like society broke. And so I didn't do anything. I became like a social hermit. I didn't spend my money. I saved all of my money. The only thing I really spent money on was food. And I guess you could say like my subscription is to like Netflix or something like that. Like, I literally became a hermit. But it was a hermit with a purpose, to save my money. And then in 2023, things happened at work. People wanted to come back to the office. Some people didn't want to come back to the office. And work was just unbearable. It became more unbearable, as many of you probably know, have experienced yourself. Some people working remotely, some people working on site. Just the communication barriers were horrible. So eventually I got fed up and I decided to quit. And you could say I quit in dramatic fashion also, because I was that fed up. But that's a story for another time. Since I've started posting on Instagram about my life in Thailand, working out, Muay Thai, getting strong, mental changes, whatever. The number one question people ask me is, how did you move to Thailand? How did you get there? Like, what does that take to do? They don't necessarily care that I'm stronger, although people are obviously are impressed and are supportive. But the number one thing is, they're like, how the fuck did you do it? And that's how I did it. I saved my money. I had a condo for 20 years. So I sold my condo, and obviously for 20 years, and obviously having a condo for 20 years and a 30-year mortgage, there's a lot of money tied up in that I got. And I just decided to make a change. Like, you only have one life, man. And like, family's a disaster, so I wasn't leaving much behind. I wasn't married. I have no kids. So it was relatively easy for me to just make the decision. I mean, I understand that people have more difficult decisions to make because they have more firm ties back home with like family, jobs, kids. And yeah, so in that respect, it's easy for me. And that's probably a major pain point for a lot of people. Like, how do I do this? Move my wife here, or I can't leave behind my kids yet. I picked Thailand because I'd been here before. I've been to something like 30 countries before. I had the benefit, the privilege of traveling around the world. And it was honestly, I was choosing between Thailand or Argentina would have been the other one. Those were my two favorite countries. But for whatever reason, the beach seemed way more appealing at the moment because it was the winter when I was leaving. And I decided to come here and try it.